see, are we working? We are working. Alright, so I am updating my corn planter, John Deere 7000 corn planter, to the Copperhead, Furrow Cruiser. Alright, so we got all these bits and pieces in here. I have to actually figure out which one works the best. I think it belongs in the back. There's a specific place that this is supposed to go into, and I really actually have to... Oh yeah, no, that ain't good. The one thing that I wish they would have stated was there's no instructions with this thing. Not that you need them, really. There's a lot of information online. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start to pre-assemble these things for the corn planter. Just keep them in their boxes, but I'm going to put the closing arms and everything on, because this guy here has to, it goes in here like so. I think that's how it goes, doesn't it? Or is it like this? It's like this. Yeah. So there's a bolt that goes through that hole there, obviously, and then there's the spring. The original 7000s do not have a, they don't have an adjustable, quick adjust. You can adjust them with a wrench, or with a wrench on the spring, but it gets quite expensive and time consuming, because time is money, you know. This spring comes with the kit. I forget what I paid for this, like 140 bucks or so for the whole entire thing. I think that's what it was. They weren't really that expensive. The complete wheel with the bearing and everything here was really not much more money than it was for the outer ring, because this comes in a ring. If you break this or these things wear, which they do, I can replace these with the ring, and it's like, it's not much more money to buy the whole thing. It was kind of silly. So I'm going to address a couple of things here before I start putting it together. One, and it's been brought to my attention that I'm all over the place, you know, I'm all over the place. Alright, so a while ago, like 2 years ago, I used to no-till corn, used to no-till soybeans, used to do all this stuff. Then I got away from growing corn and soybeans. Soybeans for 7 years now, and corn, it was a 5-year, as you know, 5 years that I didn't grow corn. And I was strictly hay, and it was fine until the mushroom growers started to be a little bit relaxed. I should be nice to what I say here. Be a little relaxed on their pay, you know. It used to be 2 weeks, now it's 6. The one mushroom grower was 6 weeks, and now they're down to 4, so I'm okay with that. It's actually kind of nice. But what I've said in the past was that no-till doesn't work here. Not true. What I said was no-till, I would no-till, but I'm not going to no-till because with the mushroom compost that I'm getting, I want to work it into the soil because it would work better. Well, that's actually kind of only half true. So I've learned a lot in the last 3 or 4 months that I've been learning about regenerative agriculture practices. And in order to be regenerative agriculture, you need to have minimal soil disturbance. Okay, minimal soil disturbance means I'm not going out with a chisel plow, I'm not going out with a disc harrow, I'm not even going to go out with a high-speed disc or a vertical tillage machine. It means that I'll be buying a roller crimper, and it means that I will be doing no-till. So I could pan around here to all the bits and pieces that I've got for no-till farming here. No-till updates and upgrades. There's boxes and boxes of stuff there. But it was brought to somebody else's attention, or somebody brought it to the forefront of the attention of many, that I had said that no-till in this ground doesn't work. Well, it does work It's just that I didn't do it because I was working in my compost. So in order to get all the nutrients out of that compost right away is to get it in the soil, get the microbes that are in it, will break it down and make it available to the corn or soybeans or whatever right away. So learning about compost and mushroom soil and compost tea and the actual effect of microbial activity and microbial infusion is what I'm calling it with the compost. So the compost has all these microbes in it, and there's nutrients that are in the compost, and if I spread that on barren soil, like last year's harvest, nothing green growing in the crop, the top of that soil is compacted from rain compaction or surface compaction from downpours of rain, and it just has no porous ability. So we have that issue. So the next best thing would be to spread it, work it in, and start that cycle all over again in destroying soil structures and not allowing the permeation of water. So on the hay ground that I have, it hasn't been plowed in 15, 20 years. A lot of this stuff, 15, 20 years. So there's soil aggregates deep, there's worm activity, there's already microbial and fungal activity in the soil, but I don't want to work the ground, so I have to go to no-till. Not that no-till doesn't work here, it just wasn't working in that particular program. I'm changing my program. I have the right to do that. I am a free American. I'm not all over the place. I'm just telling you that what works in that system doesn't work in the system that I'm going into. I'm going into regenerative agriculture where I'm going to cut out my P and K, commercial P and K. I will be getting P, K, and a whole host of other micronutrients through the compost that I am using. And here comes Mr. Tim. It will be able to permeate through the surface of the soil and deep by entering through wormholes and soil aggregates and just a really nice soil tilth. So that will go into the ground and it will infuse the soil with fungus, bacteria, microbes, you name it, it's going to be in there. So that will continue to go. As far as what I worked last year, there is no cover crop on it. I am going to put my compost on there. I'm going to drill it, so that will open up, the seed slot will then be open for permeation of the tea going into the soil. So right before I go ahead and plant those fields, I will be putting the compost on. That 7.5 inches of row will break the compaction up, and it will allow that tea to get in around the seed trench. So that will be okay. So calm your hormones, life is good. Anyway, I'm going to start pre-assembling these things. Oh, hi. So I'm going to start pre-assembling these because I've got to bring my corn planter in. A lot of people are saying, oh, you don't have enough down pressure with the 7,000. Well, there's 200 gallons of water, which is 8.5 pounds, or just say 8.5 pounds per gallon. That's 1,600 pounds, and I have thousands of pounds of iron weights that I can add to that thing if necessary. Because the soil in the hay fields is much looser, or the tilth of the soil is much looser, I don't think I'm going to have a problem getting through it. My problem is going to be, if it is a little damp, that the trench is not going to close very well. So that's why I'm decided to go with the Copperhead Furrow Cruiser closing wheel. I know there's a lot of people that use Yetter, there's Martin closing wheels. They're plastic, easy to deal with. If you break one of these things off, or whatever, you can always replace, or even just throw on one of the rubber mounted or rubber wheel closing wheels in conjunction with this. I don't like that idea. I've always felt that the cast iron closing wheels or the rubber closing wheels, they actually pinch the soil And then if your soil is hard from being cooked by a lot of heat from the sun, trench will open up, your seed will dry out, they won't sprout correctly. I know that there is an air pocket that can be formed as those things pinch closed. These crumble the sidewall, forcing any of the air pockets around the seed out, and it gives excellent seed to soil contact. And the beautiful thing is, and I don't know if you can see it, but right there it says Made in USA. So I like Made in USA stuff. I do have some Chinese stuff here. Some of that stuff is unavoidable because they're just not made here in the United States, and until those products are made here in the United States, we have to buy them from China, which is fine because that's the world we live in today. Higher powers above me and my America-loving friends have deemed it better. I don't see it that way, but you know what? If the Chinese can produce a decent product that works well here, I'm all for it too. So there you go. Anyways, I'm going to pre-assemble these, and I'll do probably this one, and then I will. I'm going to watch a video because I know that, Shoop has a video on for this particular closing wheel, and it tells me which hole I have to put that in, because these go in a specific hole, and how many bushings and how many shims have to go in each one, and then you got to measure it because it's got to be like 7/8 to 1 inch apart gap between them. So let me get on to it. Okay, so I think I got this somewhat figured out. They're not entirely too accurate with what they're telling you to do. They don't say anything about putting that washer on the bolt, put it in there. I'm doing that because I don't see any other place to put it, to be quite honest with you. They do say go ahead and put 3 shims on, like so, and then that spacer, like that. And then, quite simple, it says use the back hole. The back hole. A couple of wrenches. Steel is cold. So you kind of got to figure out the row spacing is going to be, okay? The spacing between the you know what? Watch this. So why do I want to take all this time screwing around when I can just very simply do this? I've made a mistake here. It's not a big deal. I'll show you what it is in a second. I'll get this thing done. Okay. So 7/8 to 1 1/4 inches. Let me get my tape. Yeah, we're recording. 7/8 to 1 1/4 between the spikes. I am exactly 1 1/4 inches. To me, that's probably going to be perfect. I think it will be. So that's that. So the mistake that I made, and it's not really a mistake, it's just going to take about 2 seconds to correct it, is I didn't put my handle in. Okay? So now I have to stick my hands down in there. Put the handle in. I'm pretty sure I got that. Hold on a second. Yay, it's gonna work! Alright, so I'm gonna tell you, in this little box, and I don't know who opened it, this little box, there's $1,000 in here. $1,000 in this little box. And it don't look like there is even it shouldn't be $1,000 in there. Okay, so this is the RK update kit for the 750 grain drill. Kind of anxious to see what's in these. They're $41 a piece if you've got one of these machines. An early 750, meaning 3484, I think. 3485, 3488, 3438, 3438. Anything below 3438, you need this. They're calling them Copperhead Ag now, RK Products Incorporated, PR7111. What this is the repair for the closing wheel arm. You see, the later model of this, of the 750, the shaft was all one size. I do believe it was all this size. And then, what's the matter? Oh, you don't worry, don't worry. There was a bushing that went in between there. Well, this is a weld-in piece. What's the matter? You want that off? There. Yeah, this is a weld-in piece. So what I have to do is bore a hole to which looks to be about 1 inch. I got to bore a 1 inch hole, sink that to the line, and then weld it on the back side. It's already bevel cut, so I can weld it in there. I will be using the press to press them in, so you do really want them tight. What else is in this kit? Alright, I'll show you, because I'm actually seeing it for the first time myself. Let me take this out of here. Oh, he's just terrorizing the place. Alright, I'll take you out of the tripod. I'm going to address this video to a lot of young folks out there, and maybe they think that I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just a foolish old man at this point in my life. But what I've seen so far in my life is that I really do believe we're in for some rough times. And there's a couple of things that we can do as farmers to protect ourselves, and that is to cut costs wherever possible. And this is just one of those things. I could go drop $75,000 on a brand new grain drill, or $80,000, or whatever they cost nowadays, or $100,000. I could get an air seeder for much more, or I can spend, you know, whatever money I've got spent here, about $12,000 right now. I got $3,800 more in the actual brand new closing wheel arms and closing wheels update kits, where I'm going to be just boring the hole and putting that in. So yeah, that's what's happening. I'm going to tell you what my theories are with the world today, whether you want to listen to me or not. You don't have to. It's not mandatory. But I don't think what's going on in the world today is very good. We've got a crazy man in Russia. You sticking to that thing? We got a crazy man in Russia that's threatening to use nuclear weapons. He's aligned himself with Rocket Man and the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, so you're probably thinking, so what? Who cares? You know, it's 8,000 miles away. Well, a very large amount of our grain that we produce as farmers here in the United States of America goes to those countries. I'm not sure about Russia. I'm pretty sure Russia does buy stuff. I know they do from time to time. But when you have Russia fighting a sovereign nation, running around saying they're going to drop a nuclear weapon to anybody that gets involved in this hostile takeover of a sovereign nation, and I'm getting sick and tired of hearing people say, oh, they're all corrupt. Well, if you think that Ukraine is corrupt, I can tell you right now, all you have to do is look about, I don't know, to the very east coast, somewheres along Maryland and Virginia, and you will see probably the biggest and worst corruption that you've ever seen in your entire life. And it's not in Ukraine, it's right here in the United States of America. So, shut up. That's all there is to it. Oh, this is how this goes. So, my new closing wheel arm, I'm not using the original ones. I'm going to use something different. I bought it from Shoop Manufacturing, and I do believe it is a Copperhead. I'm not 100% sure. I could probably see it here if it is.
When I brought that box in there, I thought it was carrying a single lead.
Oh, they're heavy. So anyways, so this is the instructions to how this thing gets put together. What I have to do is there's a hole on the closing wheel arm that I will be getting, and I'm just going to bore a 1-inch hole, or a slightly under 1-inch hole. I might have a 1-inch ream in there or something like that, whatever, just one that will allow me to press it into that, and then I'll just weld it on the back side. So that'll be good. And then you put your shims and stuff in there. It's really quite simple. It's going to be time consuming, so there's going to be a lot of late nights here in the shop. Timothy's looking forward to those. But anyway, yeah. There's a lot of really neat stuff. This is the kit that I just bought. The complete assembly. Complete assembly for the closing wheels. There's some mud scrapers. Here's another thing. If you've got to put a mud scraper on your gauge wheel, you shouldn't be in the field, just so you know. I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, what do you know? You're just from New Jersey. Well, I've been doing this a long time. And but anyway, yeah, for you young people out there that are, think that you're invincible and that the world will always have high grain prices or manageable grain prices, I think you're in for a rude awakening. I remember the 1970s, the end of 1970s, when there was a deal with Russia to buy our wheat, and Jimmy Carter pulled the rug out from under us farmers. In the 1980s was very harsh. The early 1980s were very harsh on farmers, very harsh. So we've kind of got the same scenario situation going on with Russia and China. So China buys a very extremely large amount of grain from us, and now they're partnered up with Russia and Iran and Rocket Man in North Korea, which Rocket Man can't feed his own people, nor does he care to. He's spending his money chasing down nuclear weapons. But this whole thing, if China helps Russia, your grain prices are going to go to shit, and anybody that's got high expenses, and fertilizer, seed, and all that stuff, equipment, over-equipment, too much money in equipment, you're going to be seeing some really hard times. So, of course, I could go buy a new grain drill and have a great time, paying for it for the next 5 years or so, and that's okay. Nobody cares. It's all right. We could do it. And I'm not a doom and gloom kind of a person. I'm quite optimistic, but I think I've got a grain drill that can be rebuilt rather cheaply for under $15,000. It'll all be like new. For under $15,000, it'll be like new. Not $150,000 for a 35 or 45 foot air seeder. I don't need that, and I don't even know if that's what they cost. But and I'll plant with that thing for many, many years, and that's it. Same thing with the corn planter. I could go out and buy a corn planter that I can plant at 10 to 12 miles an hour with, or just fix an old 7000 up that's stuck seeds in the ground for the last 45, 50 years with very little problems, and you know, just update it and upgrade it with all the latest and greatest updates and upgrades and still stick seeds in the ground. Do I have row shutoff units? No. You know, I can plant over seed on cross rows, and you know, people say, oh well, you'll save so much money if you put those air clutches on. Well, yeah, I probably would save money on those air clutches, but it's going to cost me 20 grand to outfit the damn thing with air clutches, and I just don't see the profit end of it for 600 acres of corn. Now, maybe if I was growing 4,000 acres of corn, I could see, you know, saving, I don't know, a couple pallets of seed. Not that that corn would be mute and gone. It would just be, it would be a lower yielding seed, you know, when you hit the cross rows, and you know, you got spindly little stalks, and you know, but whatever, that's just the way that shit works. So anyway, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that I think that the world is in a world of hurt. Hopefully, I don't have much optimism for the White House and the administration down there. I don't think they're I think they're inept. I don't think they're in tune to how to deal with this guy. Or, you know, quite honestly, if it was me running the White House when Putin built up along the Ukrainian border, I would have, you know, heeded what, you know, I would have said, hey, Vladimir Zelensky, do you need like Patriot missiles and shit like that? We'll send them. You need anything? Let us know, because if they invade you, at least you have a better chance, not waiting until they invade. Same thing on the southern border. You know, this man has castrated the United States on our southern border and our oil supplies in the first 5 minutes of his presidency. He went right from the inauguration right in to sign 45 executive orders that put a hurting on the United States. All of us, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Green Party, doesn't matter who we are. He did that. And if you get on my channel and tell me that it's the previous administration's fault, you're just as dumb as this tape measure. You can only measure to 25 feet. There's nothing else that you can do. This is just how dumb it is. You do the same thing every year, doing the same shit. Year after year. It's broken, you know, take a beating for a while, and, you know, once it breaks, we throw it away, just like your stupid ass. But anyways, have a nice day.